Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about the University of California schools. At least one good thing about living in California is the UC system. As you'll see later on, the campuses are spread throughout California, so if you're a bit hesitant about moving across the states, I'm sure there's going to be another school within your region. There are also a ton of prestigious private colleges like USC, Stanford, and Caltech. You can surely find a reputable college in any major area in California. Although education can be pricey, it's certainly cheaper in-state than out-of-state, and I'll provide an estimate cost of attendance for each school later on. But with that said, let's get straight to it. Okay, so let's first talk about the UC system. Technically, there are 10 UC campuses. UC Berkeley, UC Davis, UC Irvine, UCLA, UC Merced, UC Riverside, UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, UC Santa Cruz, and last but not least, UC San Francisco. For this video and for clarification, I'm not going to cover UC San Francisco as it is only a graduate and professional school, and my intention with this video is to share insight about the undergraduate side of things. There's also the UC Hastings College of the Law in San Francisco, which is affiliated with the UCs, but it's not directly governed by the Regents of the University of California. The next section of this video is going to be admissions. Let's first take a glance at the general statistics for the fall of 2020. As you can see, each campus gets tons of applications every year, primarily led by the schools in Southern California, like UCLA, UC San Diego, Irvine, and so on. From this snapshot, it looks like Berkeley and UCLA tends to admit around 15,000 each year, and the others tend to admit double, so at 30,000. I also wanted to share the GPAs, SATs, and ACTs in the 25th to 75th percentile, just to provide a better understanding of how your statistics line up with their admissions. And just to note, the ACT and SAT is suspended until the fall of 2024 for all California freshmen. This article and all my other sources will be linked in the description. So let's get into the fun stuff, the UC tier list. I've chosen these tiers based off of current rankings, reputation, prestige, and momentum. The first tier is going to be the A tier, and as you might expect, it's UCLA and UC Berkeley in no order. You could say that they are each other's counterpart in their respective regions. UCLA and UC Berkeley are the two most known, selective, and popular UC schools. In the 2021 Best Colleges rankings published by US News and World Report, UCLA was ranked first in public universities and 20th overall in national universities. And UC Berkeley was ranked second in public universities and 22nd in national universities. To add a little bit of outside context, the 20 to 22 ranking range will put them on par with some of the top universities like Cornell, University of Michigan, and USC. The second aspects when deciding the tier lists were the 5-year momentum. I'm going to show you a snapshot of the college's past 5 rankings where public is first and then national is in parentheses. Let's first start off with UCLA. In 5 years, they've managed to climb 1 spot to claim the top ranked public school and 4 spots nationally. So based off of this, their momentum is on an upward trend and I can only see them continue to climb from here on a national perspective. On the other hand, UC Berkeley dropped 1 spot to number 2 publicly and 2 spots nationally. Although UC Berkeley looks like they are on a negative trend, I can see them reclaiming these spots sooner rather than later. Regardless, in the UC system, UCLA and UC Berkeley are the creme de la creme. The second tier is the B tier, and that consists of UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine, UC San Diego, and UC Davis. In the same rankings, UC Santa Barbara ranked 6th in public and 30th nationally. UC Irvine and UC San Diego were tied at 8th public and 35th nationally, and UC Davis was 11th publicly and 39th nationally. Now, although these 4 schools are not in the A tier, they are still elites and they have the potential to move up to the A tier over time. But for now, they are in the B tier. The definition of the B tier is although they do not have as much national and global recognition as those in the A tier, they still carry prestige and excellence in their respective markets. From a national university standpoint, the 30 to 40 ranking range puts them on par with NYU, Boston College, and University of Texas at Austin. Now let's move over to UC Santa Barbara. In 5 years, they managed to jump 2 spots publicly and 7 spots nationally. They even peaked at number 5 publicly in 2019. As they continue to climb and based off of their current momentum, I think it would be fair to even place UC Santa Barbara at the B+ tier. Next is UC Irvine. They've climbed 1 spot publicly to joint 8th and 4 spots nationally in 5 years. They're currently on a small but gradual upward trend. Similarly, UC San Diego climbed a few spots in 5 years and is currently tied with Irvine in this year's current rankings. It'll be interesting to see how these two schools differentiate over time, but for now, they're both on an upward trend. Lastly in the B tier is UC Davis. This is a school that fluctuates and hovers around the 10 to 12 ranks, but is climbing spots nationally. For this reason, I will say that their 5-year momentum is neutral, but I could probably make a case that it is slightly positive. Last but not least is the C tier, and the 3 schools remaining are UC Riverside, UC Merced, and UC Santa Cruz. Just because they are in the C tier does not mean in any way that they are bad schools. It really means that they are new and or not as established yet. UC Riverside was 34th public and 88th nationally, and Merced and Santa Cruz were tied 40th public and tied 97th nationally. Their national rankings put them on par with universities such as University of Buffalo, University of Iowa, and University of Arizona. Now going to the C tier, UC Riverside made a gigantic leap in 5 years, climbing 22 spots publicly and 30 spots nationally. Similarly, UC Merced jumped 38 spots publicly and 55 spots nationally over 5 years. For a university that was only found 16 years ago, it's very impressive. I'm very interested to see where this momentum takes UC Merced. Unfortunately, the only UC that hasn't followed in the same footsteps is UC Santa Cruz. Although they peaked in 2019, they've trended downwards in the past 5 years and their momentum looks to follow. Overall, they've regressed 10 spots publicly and 18 spots nationally. Now this is just my opinion and completely subjective, and it probably does not mean much, especially since the majors are ranked differently per school. For example, if you're interested in agriculture or animal science, UC Davis would probably be in the top tier. Okay, so let's talk about each campus individually. I'll start off with UCLA, and I'm also going to share where the campus is on the map. Here are a few pictures of the campus. Next is the estimated cost of attendance. You'll find that most UCs have a similar estimate. The health insurance is required, however you can get a waiver if your current insurance meets the requirements. In the fall of 2019, UCLA had a total of 45,742 students, and 69% of those were undergraduates. Of the undergraduates, 42% were male and 58% were female. The most current student demographic that I could find was for the 2016 year, and a chart is shown below. And for a quick pros and cons, the first pro is that it is the current #1 ranked public university. Just being near the top of the rankings, let alone at the top, means that you're a great academic program with a ton of available resources that can make you successful. If you haven't had the chance to step foot on campus or see a virtual tour of UCLA, I would definitely recommend it. It's a beautiful campus that's clean and in a safe neighborhood. The third pro is the location. The weather is great and there are a ton of things to do in the area. Lastly, UCLA has a decorated sports team and has tons of school spirit. For the cons, UCLA is competitive and it shouldn't be that surprising. UCLA admits the top people in high school and the bar raises each and every year. Now this next con is not really specific to UCLA, it's a system-wide thing and that there are a ton of students. Classrooms and other facilities are going to be packed and registration is likely to be impacted as well. Lastly, the dorms are relatively small and quite expensive. However, it should come as expected since LA and California in general has a higher cost of living. Next up is UC Berkeley. Here are a few pictures of the campus. Like most if not all UCs, the campuses are just beautiful. You really just have to step foot and experience it. Here is the estimated cost of attendance. In the fall of 2019, there were 43,204 total students, in which 73% were undergraduates. Of the undergraduates, 46% were male and 54% were female. Here is the student body demographic chart. UC Berkeley is known for having world-class academic programs. Like UCLA, they are consistently ranked among the top universities in the United States. In addition, there are a ton of jobs and internship opportunities in nearby cities like San Francisco or in the Silicon Valley. The next pro is the overall quality of the students, faculty, and innovations. Lastly, students at Cal are really passionate about their studies and have tons of school spirit. The first con of UC Berkeley is the competitiveness, similar to UCLA. Being in a top university means that there is a lot of pressure to perform up to the standard. Competition expands to getting the classes that you want for a quarter or a position in a student club or organization. Additionally, the surrounding area is not the safest, as crimes in Berkeley are committed more than the national average statistically. And there's also a good amount of homelessness. And since Berkeley is in the Bay Area, dorms and housing can be difficult to find and can be expensive. And here is UC Santa Barbara, located on the coast. Here are a few pictures of the campus. Now I never had the opportunity to visit the campus yet, but I'm looking forward to that day. And this is the most recent estimated cost of attendance on their website. In the fall of 2019, there were 26,314 total students and 89% were undergraduates. 45% of the undergraduates were male and 55% were female. And this is going to be the student demographic chart. The pros of attending UC Santa Barbara are their top tier academics, Specifically, they have a really good physics and earth sciences program. Next is going to be the location and weather. The campus is right next to the beach, so there's a ton of activities to do in the area. Students have also noted that there are amazing sunsets and sunrises. Lastly, UCSB has a reputation for parties, so it would be fair to say that the social life is not going to be an issue for most people here. As for the cons, the cost of living can be quite expensive, especially for housing. It is also noted that some classes in select departments are really difficult to get in, like computer science. Next up is UC Irvine, and the campus is about 40 minutes from Los Angeles. Here are a few pictures of the campus and surrounding area. This screenshot will provide a rough estimate of the cost of attendance, as well as a detailed breakdown of the different kinds of fees. In the fall of 2019, there were 35,220 total students, and 86% were undergraduates. 48% of the students were male, and 52% were female. Here's the chart for the student body demographics. Starting off with the pros, students have noted that UCI has great weather, apart from the 1 week of rain. Next is the safety. The city of Irvine consistently ranks as the safest city in the nation. Lastly, UCI is a solid college with a great reputation. The first con of UCI would be the lack of things to do, specifically in Irvine. Students have said you will need a car or know someone to go to the good places. Furthermore, students have said that UCI does not have the best social life culture. Now the next college is UC San Diego. I've chosen a few pictures of the campus here. The estimated cost of attendance is broken down into sections. In the fall of 2020, there were 40,473 total students and 73% were undergraduates. The male to female ratio is exactly 1:1, so 50% each. And here are the student demographics. The pros of UCSD are the top academic programs, specifically in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. UC San Diego has great weather and is close to the beach. Lastly, UCSD is known for the research, so opportunities are plentiful. In terms of cons, UCSD has a reputation for having a lack of social activity, especially during the weekends. UCSD is also in La Jolla, which is not really a college town, and it's filled with expensive restaurants and housing. Next is UC Davis, and the campus is about 30 minutes away from Sacramento and about 2 hours from San Francisco. The campus is large and known for their bikes. Here is their estimated cost of attendance. In the fall of 2019, there were 39,629 total students and 78% were undergraduates. The student body consists of approximately 39% male and 61% female. Here is the demographic chart of UC Davis students. In terms of their pros, UC Davis is known for vet medicine, where it ranks #1 in the world, and their agriculture program ranked first in the nation, to name only a few. UC Davis offers a ton of unique majors and classes. UC Davis is a global leader in sustainability and climate change research. They are aiming to admit 0 greenhouse gas emissions by 2025. Lastly, UC Davis hosts their annual picnic day, which is basically an open house, and there's a ton of fun activities all around campus. For cons, UC Davis can be quiet on the weekends as a lot of students go home, and the city of Davis does not have a ton of things to do. Students usually opt to go to Sacramento or San Francisco. Lastly, the job market in Davis is limited. The top employer in Davis is the university itself, so for those looking for jobs in industries such as technology, there won't be a ton of local internships that offer that type of experience. Moving back down south is UC Riverside. I've selected a few pictures of their campus, and I was really surprised how fancy their recreation center is, or at least the pool. For California residents, here is the estimated cost of attendance. In the fall of 2019, there were 25,548 total students, and 86% were undergraduates. Of that, 46% were male and 54% were female. And here is the student demographic chart. UC Riverside is a great school with top programs. They also offer a great financial aid package. In 2019, Business Insider had them ranked #2 in the country. And lastly, they were ranked first in social mobility. In terms of cons, there are calorie pear trees on campus, and for a lack of a better term, the smell can get a little bit funky at times. Additionally, UCR is not noted for being the safest campus. Given the area, it'd be a good idea to be extra aware of your surroundings and belongings, especially at night. The newest UC is UC Merced, and is located kind of in the middle of nowhere as shown on the map. However, I would say that the campus is quite aesthetic, and I've chosen a few pictures to demonstrate that. Here is the estimated cost of attendance. In the fall of 2019, there were 8,847 total students, and 92% were undergraduates. There were roughly about 48% male and 52% female. And here is the student demographic chart. For the pros, UC Merced has a lower cost of living, especially for housing. It makes sense to be more affordable in Merced than in popular cities such as San Francisco and Los Angeles, but then again, it is California, so that could be quite subjective. As I mentioned earlier in this video, the campus was only found 16 years ago, so the school is still new and currently expanding. Lastly, UC Merced is closest to Yosemite out of all UCs and only a few hours away from the Bay Area. As for the cons, there's not much to do in Merced, unfortunately. It has come to my attention that air quality could be problematic. Merced is a farming town and I've read that there is methane in the air affecting the quality, but I can't confirm or deny that. I just wanted to note that down and bring that to your attention. Last but not least is UC Santa Cruz. The campus is really unique and here are a few pictures. The latest estimated cost of attendance is shown here. In the fall of 2019, there were 19,494 total students and 90% were undergraduates. Of the undergraduates, about 52% were male and 48% were female. And this is the demographics chart of the student body. UC Santa Cruz has great academic programs such as earth sciences and computer science. The latter is important because the campus is located near San Francisco and Silicon Valley, so if you can gain experience and leverage that to your advantage, you can potentially land a great internship or job. Furthermore, there are a ton of research opportunities and organizations to join on campus. For cons, the biggest one for me is Highway 17. For those who are unfamiliar, it has a reputation as being one of the most dangerous highways in the state because of the dense traffic, sharp turns, and sudden changes in traffic speeds. It is also the only way to go to and from the north. I've been on it twice and I can honestly say I've never felt more unsafe on the road. Lastly, public transportation in UC Santa Cruz is constantly noted as being overcrowded and underfunded. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I tried to eliminate as much personal bias and include past and current students' opinions on Reddit and in other forums. I tried to refrain from using the same pros and cons that were applicable to all the other colleges like parking, impacted colleges, registration, and etc. I would definitely encourage doing more research into the universities to develop a full and complete understanding. If there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comments. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Peace.